Hello. Hey.
Hello. Hey.
Hi, we're back. Oh my gosh. We're back. I'm so excited, Marika, to be back. Here we
I know
are.
it's been so long.
So long. It's like months,
Months, months,
months,
months.
months and months. So, hey everybody. Thank you for returning. Thank you for joining us. Brand Rewind Live. We are here. We are back. We are so excited. We have a special guest. We'll get to that in just a second. But for now, I'm Denise Kagler. My company is MDK Brand Management, and I'm coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts.
And hello, everyone. I am Barika Phillips Bell. I am with B3 Media Solutions, and I am saying hello to you from a warm Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, it's a little. I don't even know. I think it's a little chilly here. It's been a while since I've been
I don't know.
outside. I think it's chilly here.
No, it's warm.
It's warm. It's always warm there. It's
It's
always
warm.
warm there. Well, as you guys can see, we are missing the third of our threesome. Patia is out sick today. And so we are joined by a special contributor, Danny Kagler. Danny is one of our regular viewers. She happens to be my daughter, and I roped her in. So she's going to join us for today. We're going to have some fun with Danielle today. Hey, Danny.
Hi. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
It's good to get some young blood in here. So,
You know what? You know, Barika, she's going to set us straight.
I know. I'm ready. It's going to be great.
She's going to be like, what you guys talking about? Yeah. We're ready. We're ready for it, though. And look, we have some of our regulars back. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to get to you guys in just a second. So we've got a really fun and exciting show planned for you today. Starting off with the story that you guys might have seen in the news. I saw and I thought, and Patia Breek and I had our production meeting a couple of days ago, and I said, oh my gosh, we've got to talk about this. So what I'm talking about is Flavor, and I'm probably saying it wrong, Danny, don't kill me. Flavor Flav. I'm probably putting the emphasis on the wrong, syllable. Flavor, Flavor Flav. He crossed something off his bucket list, which is to sing the national anthem at a professional sports game. Let's take a listen, then we'll talk about it.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave, of the brave, of the brave.
You know what? Listen, you got to give him some props for getting out there and singing this song. He did get some love. He got some hate on social, but I do want to take a moment to ask Danny, because Danny has sung the national anthem a couple times at baseball games. So, Danielle, what did you say about that performance?
Thoughts.
It's a hard song to sing.
It is.
And I'm sure he did his best, but I wouldn't say it was the strongest national anthem performance that I've ever heard. Positives, he did stay in the right key the entire time, which is hard to do. That doesn't necessarily mean that all the notes were, where they were. But I mean, he is fine. It's not his strong suit, but he was in tune. I will say, though, something that I have learned is that people love their national anthem, and they don't often love for it to diverge from the classic. A lot of people like the very traditional national anthem, so I'm sure his ending improvisations were potentially not well received. I don't know. I mean, but I didn't love it, but I applaud his attempt. And
yes
it takes.
I have to say that that vamp ending, though, like, I applaud him for trying it. It was like you said, it was a bucket list thing that he wanted to do. Like, we all have things that we want to do off our bucket list. So I applaud him for getting up there and having the courage in front of the world
Absolutely.
and singing the national anthem. But
Yes.
you know that vamp part, I couldn't. It could have, you know, I didn't need it.
It could have been
Yeah.
dropped.
It could have been dropped.
He
He
didn't
could have
need it.
ended it. Yeah.
Let me just read a couple of social media comments about it. One said, "Not the worst I've ever heard, and a lot better than I thought it was going to be."
True.
Another social media person said he killed that. Another one said the Bucks aren't, because they were playing the Milwaukee Bucks, and it said the Bucks aren't serious about winning tonight. Must not be serious about winning tonight. But but there are people who there were some people who loved it, some people hated it. But this show obviously is brand rewind, so it adds to his brand, don't you think? I mean, it does add to his brand when you take on a song like that.
I definitely agree that, if that is something that he wanted to do to like, get his name out there, to get people to like notice him. I've noticed. I definitely I noticed, and I was just like, okay.
Right. And we're talking about it. We wouldn't have been talking about Flavor Flav had not been for that.
Exactly. I had not even thought about Flavor Flav in like a number of years. So
Exactly.
You know what? It served its purpose, and all right.
And all right. No, that was cool. That was cool. And he had the whole brand attire going too. I mean, he was full out branded.
Now, is he an owner in the Bucks, or he's just a Bucks like
So
like okay, all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think so. Doesn't say it in what I read. It doesn't say it. Someone else said, "No way, this is real." Well, because you can never tell. There's so much fakeness out there. You can never really tell what's real and what's not real. Is it
I do think he was really singing. I think that was him really singing it.
I believe that it was really him singing. I just don't think it was good.
Yes, I agree.
That's all I got.
You know what? It's about confidence, and he showed his confidence, and more power to you for getting out there and showing that you can take on something that is fairly important, not fairly, very important, and it's tough. It's tough to do that. So good job, Flavor Flav. Good job. Keep it going.
You know what? Big ups to him for that attempt.
I know. Speaking of, so we're going to stay in the whole basketball industry realm of discussion. Barika, what you got?
So I'm going to stay within the basketball, and it is basketball season. It's kicked off. So I actually have to say that this story is actually more about boardrooms than backboards. And I'm talking about Magic Johnson, Earvin Magic Johnson, aka Showtime. And I'm not rehashing his basketball highlights. I'm actually diving into something that I think, in many ways, ladies, it's even more impressive. Magic has made a name for himself in the world of business, and his latest score is a 1.2 billion net worth at the age of 64, which is amazing.
Wow.
He basically dribbled his way into success using the same charm and teamwork that actually defined his career, which is great to see. He has theaters in underserved communities. He owns Starbucks, and he's turned investments into institutions within the underserved communities, which I think is also amazing. Now, he holds stakes in sports teams across the board, from the NFL, the MLB, WNBA, and the MLS, and not just sports. He's got the magic touch in movie theaters and fast food, real estate as well. And this is what I did not know: a lucrative life insurance company. Did you guys know that he owns a life insurance company?
Which company?
It's called Equitrust.
Equitrust. Huh.
Equitrust. And he turned it from earning $16.3 billion a year to a $26 billion powerhouse.
Billion as in B?
Billion as in B.
Wow.
And it dominates the life insurance industry. And his triple-double wealth building strategy, as he said, is partnerships, cultural insight, and he has an eye for the underserved market. So kudos to Magic Johnson, because he's not just a sports legend, but he's actually a business icon whose legacy is just as diverse as it is deep. So it's great to see he's like the fourth athlete that is now a billionaire, besides Tiger Woods, who's also, and the other two were, I think I told you, I don't, the other two,
I think
the,
Michael Jordan and
Michael Jordan,
Shaquille O'Neal, maybe.
I
Was
don't
it?
know.
I don't think it was Shaquille. But it was Michael Jordan. Tiger was another Yeah, it was another basketball player though, wasn't it? It was two basketball. He was a third billionaire basketball
He
player.
was a third
One
billionaire
sport.
basketball player, and I think it is Shaquille O'Neal.
I think it might be.
Okay, I wrote it down somewhere.
Yeah, I think it actually
Oh,
is
It's LeBron James.
LeBron.
Oh, that's who it
Yeah,
was.
Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Tiger
Yeah, yeah.
Woods. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. Shaquille O'Neal, he's on his way though.
Exactly.
He's
He is.
definitely on his way with all of his endorsements.
I'm so happy for Magic Johnson and what he's done to so many underserved communities around this country is remarkable. I mean, talk about a shout out. I
Yes.
mean, Magic Johnson, thank you, thank you, thank you. He's putting his money where his mouth is, and he's lifting up so many people in so many communities, underserved communities of color, which is great.
Yeah. When I first moved to LA, I was in like the area where it was Magic Johnson's TGI Fridays, Magic Johnson's Starbucks, it was Magic Johnson Theater. And I was just like, this is like so cool that like he had invested so much in the community that he played in. And all of the businesses, like a lot of, there was like the Magic Johnson Theater that everybody went to on Friday nights and Saturday nights to like hang out. And I'm just like, sitting back and seeing that now, years later, is so wonderful to see how that actually paid off for him.
Yeah. He always looks like he's just having fun.
Yeah.
You never see him looking down and sad. He's always got that $1 billion smile across his face. He just makes you feel good just when you're around. I mean, I've never met him. I've never met him, but he just seems like a really, really nice guy. I hope he is, because I tell you, what's that saying? Never meet your heroes. Because I met people who I thought were like wonderful. I met them like, oh my gosh, you're just such jerks. I don't think that's him though. I don't think that's him.
And I haven't heard any negative things about him, but you never know. But I definitely, I feel like he's definitely someone who's heavily invested in our community, and I really love that about him.
Yeah, me too. I just want to say too that I normally, for our regular viewers, I'm normally the one who goes in and puts comments in the chat boxes and welcomes people. And for some reason, I'm not able to do that. I tried, so I'm sorry that I'm not going to be able to do that. To figure out, I'm not connected somehow, so I have to do that after the show. So next show, I'll make sure that I'm connected to you. Rika, what else you got?
Well, so I am definitely going to segue. This is a story that I just feel is incredibly important for like what's going on in the world. And even though we are getting inspiration from what Magic Johnson did and his success and transformation, there's still an urgent need for change in other arenas. And in stark contrast to that, we were basically brought back down to reality that's faced by far too many communities in our nation. 2 weeks ago, as you all know, America was shaken by yet another tragic episode of gun violence. And this time it happened in Maine. 18 lives were cut short at a mass shooting at a local bowling alley and restaurant, and 13 were left injured. Now, this event led to an intense manhunt, and it ended with the suspect taking his own life. Out of that, 583 total shootings have happened. Mass shootings have happened in 2023 in the U.S. Just this year. Yeah, just this year. And that was the most deadly yet.
Wow.
And as you ladies know, gun violence didn't stop there. Like across the nation, just over the Halloween weekend, a spate of shootings happened, including a party in Indianapolis, another one in Tampa, Florida, one on the south side of Chicago. 2 men were injured and 2 were killed. They were killed at a restaurant in Kansas City, and 6 people were shot at a house party in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And ladies, like I've barely scratched the surface of all the shootings that happened over Halloween weekend. Like it's literally like ridiculous how many.
It's an epidemic.
It's an epidemic. And
Yeah.
every day we're seeing these ordinary places becoming the scenes of mass shootings, with nearly 1 in 5 adults reporting that they had a family member killed by a gun, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. So I'm really just tired of honoring these victims with our thoughts and our prayers. It just boggles my mind that that's all that we offer. And I feel like instead they need our action, they need our persistence, and America itself basically needs a brand rewind,
Yeah.
a reset on our approach on gun reform. And so, like, for me, I ask myself, like, what can I do? Like, what can we do as just regular American citizens? And it turns out it's like a lot. Like, first, educating ourselves on the gun laws, and the proposed reforms in our area, like in California and in Boston, where you are, in New York, wherever you are. Basically understanding that knowledge is power, and you can advocate for change that makes sense for responsible gun ownership and regulation. Another thing that we can do is volunteer for local community centers to help steer youth away from violence, as well as our veterans. That guy was a veteran, and so they have real problems and PTSD and things that need to be dealt with. So engaging in it and creating uplifting programs that offer these mental health resources are going to be key. And lastly, our vote. Holding our leaders accountable, demanding action and policy change, and prioritizing the safety of our communities. Like, that's it's not happening. It's just like washing over our heads, and we're going on to something else, and then it happens again and again. We can't continue to do this. We have to have discussions, and these discussions can be the first step in helping to prevent a tragedy. So in the wake of the loss and our collective heartbreak, it really should be the catalyst for our action. Like, it's heartbreaking to have this happen time after time. And as Biden stated, Americans should not have to live like this. And he's right. We should not be afraid to have to go to a bowling alley, to a restaurant, or a school function.
Anywhere, church,
Anywhere.
anywhere. I mean, and thank you for bringing this story to us, Barika. As you were talking, I had this memory of kids blatantly, and you might have seen some of the video, out in the open shooting at people. So, and I think, this isn't television. I mean, these kids think that they're on television, and that if they shoot, then nothing's going to happen. And they have to understand that this is real life. And you can't just open up in broad daylight and just start shooting people randomly. And there have been too many stories about that too. It's wild when they have, first of all, there are cameras everywhere. So they're going to find you. Period. They're going to find you. And they have this video of just kids getting out openly, like targeting and shooting people. That I just cannot wrap my head around.
No, I mean, and to me, it's like, as a parent, you have to kind of put that guidance in place. Like, and I understand there are parents that want to take their kids to a gun range, and there are parents that want them to be prepared. But as a responsible gun owner, you really have to take the onus upon yourself to teach safety, to teach what it is, to, like, the consequences of that action. Because I feel like, and then to Denise, the mental health aspect of it, I think, is such a huge component that we just, it feels like it's lost on America.
But also as the adults too. I mean, yes, the kids are doing it, the kids who are skipping school or doing whatever, instead of being in school and taking advantage of some of these after school programs, they're getting in trouble in with the guns. But there was a story yesterday, I believe, where there was a guy in his house, took out his gun, his loaded gun, and somehow stupidly he does something, discharges the weapon, and the bullet goes through the wall in his house and strikes his 4-year-old daughter in the head. So I don't even know if she at the time she hadn't died. I'm not sure she's passed now, but she was injured because he was just playing around with his gun in his house, and it went through the wall and hit his 4-year-old daughter and struck her in the head. Those stories just break my heart.
It's literally heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
I mean, to me, I think that we have to be the change we see. Like, not to be cliche, go back to Obama times, but like change, it really does start with us in the individual decision to not look away. I
Yeah.
think that is, we've been desensitized so much because it happens so many times, but we cannot look away, and this cannot be accepted as the norm.
I
Like
agree.
it absolutely. So my collective plea to our followers, anybody who watches that, is that, like, let's work to ensure that our bowling alleys, our schools, our restaurants, and anywhere else, our streets, are safe for everyone. And with that, I am going to kick it over to our wonderful new guest contributor who we're so excited to have on our show today. Danielle, what do you got for us?
Yes. So, I don't know if you know what you guys have been seeing in the news lately, but we all know the company WeWork. It's very or very common company, well-known company that has had a volatile last few years, and it's reported that they are going to file for bankruptcy.
What?
Yes,
Wow.
which is kind of crazy.
That's
Um,
crazy.
Wow.
yeah, so they went public in 2021. That was their second attempt. That this time was successful, but they tried to go public before that, and it failed, which resulted in the ousting of Adam Newman, their former, their founder and former head. So he's no longer with the company. So the last 3 or 4 years have been kind of wild for them.
Wow.
After a really long stretch of being a company that people kind of relied on, especially entrepreneurs, small businesses, using them as their workspace.
Mhm.
So I'm not really sure. I don't think anyone is really sure what this is going to mean for those people. But I know that they've been closing offices a lot lately. Their IPO, when they became public, was way less than anyone had anticipated, which I think was the beginning of the end. And yeah, it's been interesting to watch and to see a company that was like the big buzzword a few years ago that everybody was talking about is now on the brink of failure.
Why? Like, what?
No, I'm guessing that they probably expanded too quickly, too soon, because of riding that wave of remote work in the wake of um, COVID, and all these employees working from home and not wanting to be around their kids. So they found this external space, and rework just kind of took off from there. And maybe I know they just opened one not far from where I live. They opened a new one, but it's too bad. So doesn't mean that they're going. I'm assuming, Danny, it doesn't mean they're going to go away. They're filing for bankruptcy.
Right. Yeah.
Hope that they can restructure their financial
Yes.
base.
Yeah, and I think it also might be. I mean, there's the idea now of like companies, especially startups, having like unlimited alcohol and like all the snacks and like these really like fun perks a lot of startups have now and a lot of companies have now, and that's kind of the thing to do. WeWork did that, but I think they did it to the extreme, because if you look at companies that were working out of WeWork, they did have like, there was always like beer on tap, especially and at the WeWork headquarters where you actually for WeWork. There were things like that. And if you have that at a bajillion offices around the country,
No work is getting done.
Yeah.
It's expensive bringing all the alcohol and all the food in. That adds to your expenses.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that.
There is also, I mean, I haven't watched it yet, but I plan to. There is a mini series kind of called We Crash that is highlighting the ups and downs of WeWork. And that's before this bankruptcy was even announced. So you could tell it there, because WeWork has been around. I think they were founded in like 2011, 2012. So they've been around for a long time. But I think what you were saying about how they probably got a big boost from COVID and then a sharp drop off is
right.
And 2019 too was a really big year for them. That was really when they were kind of taking off, and that did not last particularly.
Well, that's a COVID year. That was a big.
2020, the
19, 2020, 21, 22.
Yeah.
Well, 19, 20, and 21, right? Mostly.
2020 and 2021 were probably like the biggest years for them. But like once people started having to go back to work, and then I feel like even in 2023, like it's been a hard time. Like when you look at everything that's going on with brick and mortar stores, when you look at everything, even consultancies, it's just been harder.
Yeah.
There's been more labor strikes. There's been increases in the cost of labor. So trying to afford to pay people as a business owner has just been greater. So like having a space and paying WeWork is, for a lot of smaller companies, is really hard to do. So,
We have a question before we go to our last story. We do have a question from Hey Pop Research. Good to see you back. So, how can WeWork learn from a brand rewind? Great question. And they're probably Pop Research. They're probably having all these meetings now as they try to restructure their financial or stabilize financially. They're probably thinking, okay, what did we, to Danny's point, what did we do wrong? How can we, fix it? How can we correct what we've been doing? How can we rewind our brand? And probably taking a look at some of their expenses. Probably some of their expenses need to be curtailed a bit. And maybe they will have to close some of their offices and focus on some of the offices that are generating more of the revenue.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're looking at that.
Focusing less on flash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that it's really important to look up at the type of companies that make up their revenue base. Like, are they mostly consultancies? Are they product based? Are they services? Like, are they services as a software? Like, who are the types of businesses and who are the people that were leaving, not being able to afford it? Like, what kind of business were they? And then kind of like restructuring and looking at, like, maybe we go after these types of businesses instead of these types of businesses because they don't tend to do well at a WeWork situation.
Yeah.
And then part two, you never know what's good. Like, no one has a crystal ball. No one knew COVID was going to happen. Well, okay, I should say only the attorney general knew that COVID was going to happen. But, like, there's different things that are out of our control that happen, like all the strikes that happen, there's things that are out of the control that you just kind of have to plan for. Plan for the unknown, which is hard, but
It's hard. So speaking of planning for the unknown, this was something, my last story, that I did not see coming, although when I think about it, it's pretty brilliant and we should have seen it coming. So those of you who know me, who followed my career, know that I spent 17 years at Reebok and worked with a lot of the athletes who passed through there. One of the athletes I worked very closely with was Allen Iverson, who was star player for the Philadelphia 76ers. So I worked very well with Allen over a number of years. We actually signed a lifetime contract. Reebok signed a lifetime contract with Allen, AI as he's known. So it got my attention when I heard that he was being hired or had been hired as Reebok's vice president. And Shaquille O'Neal, mind-blowing announcement that he is now the president of Reebok basketball. Shaquille O'Neal is the president of Reebok basketball. That one, I actually thought it was fake news when I first read it. Even though I'm still in touch with several Reebok people, most of them were ex-Reebok people. So I didn't really talk a lot with the people who are still at Reebok, a couple of them, but not a lot. So I think this is brilliant to bring Shaquille O'Neal back from he was one of the endorsed athletes. He, wore Reebok sneakers. He had a contract with Reebok, and now he's running basketball operations with AI running, being the VP of basketball. So their responsibilities are interesting. So Shaq, in the statement in the press release that went out, Shaq said that a big part of his role will be leveraging, quote, my network to build bridges to connect the brand with players and help those players develop through their partnership with Reebok. So he's going to be in charge of signing new athletes. And he did just sign a WNBA player, which is great. Allen, in the statement, said that he is going to be responsible for increasing the brand's presence in grassroots and community initiatives.
Oh, okay.
I think he'll be great at that because who doesn't love AI? Yes, he has an interesting side to him, but he's older now. I think he's almost 50 now. I think he's in his late 40s, maybe 50. So I think this is a brilliant move on Reebok's part. You guys probably know Reebok has sort of fallen out of the game when it comes to sports like basketball, football, and they've been focusing more on apparel and aerobics and fitness. So I think it's wonderful, brilliant move to have these two guys come back and take on these leadership roles at Reebok. So hats off to Shaquille O'Neal and AI. Let's hope it brings Reebok back into the footwear industry because they've been lagging pretty far behind of Nike and Adidas and some of the Converse. I mean, they could use this. I'm happy for them.
I thought this was interesting. Mindful Mommy Life said, interested in seeing how they're both going to run that. Allen Iverson doesn't seem like he has business sense considering he doesn't want to practice.
I don't disagree with you. I'm hoping that perhaps he took a course or he kind of shadowed people who are in business but now they're not going to be running this business by themselves. I mean, there's still the core executive, support within Reebok. They still have a CEO, presidents, VPs. They still have that core support system around them. They're probably going to be the face, the brand at Reebok with the name to get these athletes, to get these community projects going. So that's why I think it's a brilliant move. Who's not going to pick up the phone when Shaquille O'Neal calls you?
That's true.
Hey, it's Shaq. Who's not going to answer that phone call, right?
Exactly.
They'll answer that phone call. So I'm happy for them, and let's see where it goes from here.
Ladies, we are at time, and that actually flew by today. That wraps up our show. So please make sure you sign up at www.brandrewind.com. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and make sure you join our YouTube page as well as our Facebook group.
So great to be back with you. Thank you so much for joining us. Come back in 2 weeks, November 16th, Thursday. We will be right here, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. 2 weeks. We hope to see you back then. So thank you so much. Thank you, Danny Kegler. Thank you.
For being part of our team today.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
See you in 2 weeks.